Hello everybody, this is Silverbusters here, and today's video is on a topic that is near and dear to my heart, trading your gold for silver. So basically, I finally pulled the trigger on this. For a long time, I have not been accumulating gold. I had gold, maybe 20 years ago, not quite that long. Let's say 15 years ago, started getting into the gold area, and also started out with a mix of gold and silver bullion products. And I just thought it was good. I mean, my thinking back then was gold was kind of like your bug out money, but you always needed silver anyway for small trades. And silver, that's why you had the silver. It was your change. And I went in maybe 50-50 and at the time, and tried to maintain that. But what happened is, while trying to maintain that kind of 50-50 balance with gold over time, the silver kept going up more than the gold, which is normal if you go back and look at any of the historical charts of gold and silver. And then the years keep passing along, and then there was a period in time of my life where I had only been accumulating silver, just because I would look at the price, I would look at gold's price, I would look at silver's price, and I would see how much more silver I could get compared to gold. And so I just kept accumulating silver. And then there was also a brief period where I kind of switched, because I thought I might need to get in and out of my position quicker, even though I wanted it to be a physical position. So I went back. I switched for a period of time where I thought, you know what, I might need this for, I don't know, a down payment on a house. So I don't want to buy some silver, pay a premium on it, then go to a dealer and pay a premium on it and get hit on both sides if I'm going to flip this in 2 or 3 years just for a house, or a down payment for a house or whatever. So, I ended up accumulating more gold. But the funny thing was, the silver kept going up more in price than the gold overall. And now that trend hasn't always held. I mean, going back into the 2020, when we had that big crash, and the stock market was crashing, everything was crashing, and silver had a $12 handle on it, or $11.90 something. And of course, you couldn't get any for that price. I had to scour 3 or 4 different websites on a Sunday night, and I just happened to find one that hadn't updated their premiums yet, and I managed to find some for 15. And this was when silver was trading for 12. So I had to hold my nose and pay, what's that? If silver is showing as 12, a 25% premium? But that's still, to this day, probably the biggest pop I've gotten, even though I paid, which in a percentage terms was a ridiculous premium. And so I've been accumulating silver, and I'm like, you know what? All the signs are pointing towards silver being the better play long term than gold. And, I've already been accumulating as much as I realistically can while being responsible about my other expenses. So I finally came to the point where I was like, you know what? It is time to trade in the gold for the silver. Because, and I'm going to give you the reasons why this makes sense. We're looking at the gold-silver ratio here, right? This is roughly 66-1, and if I had this bright idea, I don't know, a year or 2 ago? Let's see if I can find it. It was up here. Now, of course, finding anybody who had silver in physical form and would be willing to give me anywhere close to this back then may have been tough. Now, I may have gotten, 110 or 100, and I may have gotten something in here by letting the dealer keep a chunk of it. But when we had this was corresponded with that sell-off down to 12. You couldn't find silver, right? It went into hiding. And of course, silver immediately recovered. I mean, this is what is kind of represented by this. It recovered faster than gold did. It went up more and higher. But gold has touched new all-time highs in the 2020 rally. Silver has not. Silver's got two past all highs in prior bull markets, the 2011 bull market and the 1980 bull market, where they touched $50. And so silver on this run hasn't got meaningfully past $30. And so usually when gold hits an all-time high, you're just watching the clock for when is silver going to hit an all-time high. Historically, it's just a matter of time. Once one has done it, the other would do it. And another reason is just how ridiculously underpriced silver is as a commodity in the year 2021, based on what normal inflation would happen. So take the $50 high from 2011 and the $50, go back further to the $50 high in 1980. Pick your commodity. Pick a commodity in 1980. About the only thing that has gone down in price since 1980 on an inflation adjusted process, if we're looking at prices, is consumer electronics, right? Maybe consumer electronics have gone down in price, and that's just because the technology has improved. But if you look at any other commodities, if you're looking at wheat, or if you're looking at soybeans, or if you're looking at cattle, or if you're looking at copper, or if you're looking at any of these other things, they don't trade in the ranges of the prices in the 1980s. They don't trade on 40-year-old prices, right? And yet here we are, still not, barely past halfway to what the 1980 highs is. So for one thing, I think the gold has run further than the silver, and the silver has room to make it up, and there's no reason why it shouldn't make it up. And that sort of rolls into the next point, where the tightness is in the silver market. We have seen, not just because of Wall Street Silver and the whole Reddit crowd and things like that, we've seen a massive run on retail product for silver. And this is kind of accepted everywhere. But where the debate comes in is, it's just due to COVID shutdowns and mints closing down and retooling and blah, blah, blah. Personally, I don't buy that. There are industries that have been completely unaffected by this, including the one that I work in. And if there was money to be made using machines to smash silver coins into pretty patterns, people would be doing that. And it seems sort of outrageous that people wouldn't do that without some sort of other ulterior motive, right? So, and this is the only commodity I've seen, or the recent commodity, where this squeeze extends into the wholesale market, right? If it is extended in the 1,000-ounce bars, it's extended into all of these COMEX contracts, it's extended into all of these ETFs, where pressure is getting placed on these. They're getting scrutinized and the ETFs are saying, do we really have the silver? They're changing their prospectuses, and they're saying, yeah, we might not have the silver that all of our shares say our silver is there. We're seeing premiums on 1,000-ounce bars that are $1 and $2 premiums on what should be trading at spot price, or a nickel or a quarter above spot price, right? So, this is one commodity where the squeeze has actually pushed all the way into the wholesale market. And that's because they're not allowing the price to move on a free market basis, right? That silver may loosen up its conditions, and the premiums may subside if the price was allowed to go up. It is sort of ridiculous for an eagle to trade at 38 or 32 when the gold price is the silver price is 26, right? That's sort of a ridiculous markup on a percentage basis, when I think the mint is selling it to the suppliers for $2 a pop over spot, right? So yes, there is some novelty in the whole gold and silver bullion products that are national products. But for me, those premiums are completely lost. I see absolutely no point in those premiums because I never started investing in gold and silver for collectible rarity. I don't really care about the years things were minted in. I don't really care about the particular designs or how rare the particular designs are or certain mint marks or any of that kind of stuff. If I was interested in that stuff, I would trade comic books or magic cards or anything else that solely trades on notoriety and rarity for its value. You know, you could trade in fine art or modern art or whatever else you wanted if you just wanted to deal in the it's in a this particular form of the coin is rare, right? So that's the idea I'm trying to cut. I really don't care if silver eagles or gold eagles are rare right now because the U.S. Mint is pulling shenanigans due to, that virus that I can't mention, right? I want silver. I want the element. I want the pure form, and I don't need a mark or a pattern or anything on it that tells me it's from such and such government, right? I'm not interested in paying 25 or 30 or 50% above the value of the underlying material to have your silly eagle or leaf flapping on the back of it, or the pandas are even worse, right? So that's the kind of message I'm getting across, is that that's a gimmick. The whole gold eagle versus what an ounce of, silver eagle versus an ounce of silver, that's a gimmick. So for one thing, I was able to cash in on all the premium, because right now there are premiums on gold eagles too because of that same reason, and people, I guess, are set in their ways. They're willing to go out there and pay almost $2,000 for a gold eagle or 1900 something, right, and pay a 10% markup on 1 ounce of gold. Now, I understand paying a little bit higher percentage on silver because you have to do a lot more work to churn out hundreds and hundreds of silver coins compared to churning out one gold coin. And I know we're closer to, we're looking at the ratio right here, which is 66 right now. But you're doing effectively 66 times more work to get the same notional value of silver right now. So I keep that in mind when it's there's a little bit more of a manufacturing process that has to be accounted for in silver. And yet people are paying, a 10% premium on 1 ounce of gold. Does that make any sense to you? It really doesn't make sense to me. It only makes sense if you buy into that whole baseball cards, postage stamps, and modern art kind of economy. I don't want to get into that type of economy. I want the commodity economy, and so I want my silver in the lowest, most useful and lowest premium form that I can get. And so I was able to trade out of all of that premium value that was placed in these gold eagles and gold maples and such that are trading out there right now, and get into just generic silver, as much generic silver as I was able to get for the price, right? And I see silver moving a lot higher, a lot faster. I see silver breaking their market constraints first, because let's face it, there's a lot of gold floating around, and it might be desperation, but if America, China, Russia, the European Union, and all these big guys and the central banks, assuming they have gold in their vaults, they can play games with gold, right? They're able to put a cap on gold. They're able to lease gold into the market and things like that. They don't have that big of a stockpile of silver. They're much more likely to have their price scheme break out. Oh boy, Norton. Oh boy. Oh, that was an advertisement. Fun. Well, let me see if I can find the gold silver ratio back. Gold to silver ratio. Yes, let's go back here and not be bothered by Norton. Okay, so as I was saying, basically, I see silver having a lot more room to run and being much tighter than the gold market, and excluding the whole novelty of the whole gold eagle idea, because I don't really I mean, I've bought gold for a $9 premium over spot, and it's just your simple Pamp Suisse little printed pattern. I can't ever see myself paying $200 for a 1 ounce piece of gold just because it's stamped by the US government. I'm sorry, it makes absolutely no sense. So I traded out of all of that premium value into as much silver as I could, because silver is going to break its constraints first. It has more room to run, and it's trading far away from any of its all-time highs. So for those three reasons alone, I think it's time to trade your gold for silver. And I've finally done it. And I guess this puts me somewhere between Bix Weir and Chris Dwayne on the silver craziness ratio. I've always been there, and I've been almost exclusively accumulating silver for a long time. But now I'm not quite as into cryptos as Bix is, and Bix is into silver real heavy and not gold. And Chris is like silver only, right? No cryptos. So I'm kind of in between those two guys now, if you know those two guys. But that's my story. That's the only way I have really to put further pressure on the silver market, and I've done it. I've put all the pressure I'm capable of putting in the short term onto the silver market in my hands, and it's a good time to get out of these inflated government issue mint kind of products. You know what? If I had even if I had a bunch of silver eagles or a bunch of silver maples or something, I'd be finding a dealer, putting those on the table and saying, how many rolls? What's the ratio? If I have 10 rolls of silver eagles, can I get 11 rolls of 1 ounce round generic? I mean, that's literally the kind of thing I would be interested in doing right now, because at the end of the day, there's not going to be a premium for these U.S. products. There's a few of them that will survive as historical heirlooms, right? But they're bullion products. There's millions of these out there. It's not Superman issue number 1, and it's not, a Monet, which has got a limited supply of them, right? These are bullion products despite that. So you're going to get a bullion price for your bullion product at the end of the day. So like I said, I've said it before, if you come to me wanting to pay a bill or buy some groceries or get some gasoline or whatever it is, I'm going to take your eagle exactly the same way as I would take a silver round. I'm going to test it the same way, and then I'm going to pay you the same way. And there's just no collector's value there when you're going into a brand new system that's going to literally be revaluing itself around the physical metal. That value change is going to so dwarf any possible numismatic value that you're going to have in the eagle. You might as well have the additional ounces of silver that you would get by avoiding those overpriced bullion products that are making excuses about mint shutdowns due to the C word, due to the cerveza sickness, right? So anyway, that's my 2 cents. I wanted to tell you what I'm doing, and I hope you are out there and doing your best in these crazy times. This has been Silver Busters signing off.